Welcome to the Blazor Chat UI component tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to get started with the Syncfusion Blazor Chat UI component. This component is designed to create interactive and real-time chat applications. It supports features like message display, user interaction, and customization options, making it ideal for building modern chat applications. Before proceeding, ensure that you have the .NET 8 or 9 SDK and Visual Studio 2022 installed on your machine. After installing the necessary tools, launch Visual Studio 2022 and click Create a new project from the dashboard. From the list of project templates, select the Blazor web application, then let me provide the project name. I am using .NET 9 as the framework for this project, and have selected the Auto Render mode for both server and WebAssembly apps under the Interactive Render Mode section. Apart from this, 3 modes are available. To learn more about interactive render modes, check out the video linked in the YouTube card above or description below. I'll continue the project creation with the Global Interactivity location. When I click the Create button, the project creation will start. Now the application is ready to use. Next, I'll show you how to add the Blazor Chat UI component. First, I need to install the NuGet package in my application. So let me open the NuGet Package Manager, switch to the Browse tab, search for the Syncfusion Blazor Interactive Chat NuGet package, and install it. Also, I install the Themes NuGet package, which hosts the CSS and script files. After installation, let me navigate to the Imports Razor file and add the Syncfusion Blazor Interactive Chat namespace, which use the component within the Pages folder. Next, I open the client-side program CS file and add the Syncfusion Blazor namespace. Then I register the Syncfusion Blazor service to use the Blazor Chat UI component. Also ensure that the Syncfusion service is registered in the server-side program CS file. Next, I navigate to the AppRazor component, host the script, and refer to the CSS for the component. Now that everything is configured, open the Home Razor component, remove the default code, and define the Syncfusion Blazor Chat UI component, which helps to build a dynamic chat app with real-time messaging in just a few steps. To fit the chat interface properly within the application layout, set the height and width properties. When a conversation has no messages, the chat UI might seem empty or unclear. To enhance the user experience, I include the empty chat template tag. This tag displays placeholder content when the chat message list is empty. Inside this template, I add an empty state message to inform users that no messages exist and encourage them to start a conversation. Then apply CSS styles to center align the placeholder content, set the font size, and define the layout direction. Now let's run the example application. When the Chat UI component loads, you'll see placeholder content and a text box for typing messages. Once you send a message, it will appear in the Chat UI. Next, I will show you how to configure messages and participants in the Chat UI component. To provide context for the conversation, I use the header text property. This property defines the title of the chat window, making it easier to understand the conversation's purpose or participants. To create a realistic chat experience, I add the code block. Here, I define 2 participants, the product manager and the tester. Each participant is assigned a unique ID and a name to clearly identify them. To load a conversation, I create a list of type chat message named chat user messages. Within this list, I include several example messages, illustrating a discussion between the product manager and the tester. To display messages in the Chat UI, I bind the chat user messages list to the messages property of the component. This property holds the conversation history and dynamically updates the chat window as new messages are added. To specify the active participant in the chat, add the user property and assign it to the product manager variable. Check it out now, the Chat UI is displayed with a header. The preloaded messages appear in the chat window, each tagged to the respective participant. Next, I will show you how to configure a group conversation in the Chat UI component. In this example, I add the developer as a third participant, assigning them a unique ID and name. I then update the chat user messages list to include the developer's messages, reflecting their contributions to the discussion. Now, the Chat UI component displays a group conversation with messages assigned to their respective participants. Next, I will demonstrate how to customize the user avatar in the Blazor Chat UI component. There are 3 ways to customize the avatar. To add a profile picture, use the avatar URL property. To change background color, use the avatar background color property. For customizing the overall appearance, use the CSS class property. In this example, I will add a profile picture for the developer. If you want to know how to use another 2 ways, check the documentation link provided in the description below. Before proceeding, make sure to add a profile picture to the project to enhance the chat experience. Then, set the avatar URL property in the developer field and specify the correct path to the profile picture. Look now, you can see the developer's profile picture will now appear in the Chat UI. Next, I will show you how to manage timestamps in the Blazor Chat UI component. Timestamps are an essential feature in a chat interface, as they provide context for when messages were sent, helping participants track the conversation's timeline. In this example, I use the showTimestamp property to control the visibility of timestamps. By default, this property is set to true, meaning timestamps are shown. To disable timestamps, simply set the showTimestamp property to false. Look now, the messages are displayed without timestamps, creating a cleaner chat interface. Next, I will demonstrate how to customize the timestamp format. Before proceeding, I remove the showTimestamp property, as the timestamps will be visible once the format is set. To dynamically include timestamps in the message list, I add a timestamp property to each message in the chat message list. This provides the exact time each message was sent or received, enhancing the context of the conversation. Then, I set the timestamp format property. This will display the month name, hours, and minutes in a 12-hour format. Now, the Chat UI component displays messages with timestamps formatted as specified, improving clarity and context in the conversation history. Next, I will show you how to use time breaks in Chat UI. To add date-wise separations between messages, set the showTimeBreak property to true. This enhances readability and organizes the messages better. By default, the value is false, which means time breaks are disabled unless explicitly enabled. Now you can see that the messages are grouped into different time slots, with time breaks visible when there is a significant gap between messages. Now let me summarize. I showed you how to get started with the Syncfusion Blazor Chat UI component. Also showed you how to customize the user avatar, configure timestamps and time break in Blazor Chat UI component. If you want to see the working code for this example, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I've also provided a link to check if you qualify for a free community license to access all our Blazor components. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.